We just pressed the button, and there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I showed you the intro before.
I didn't see that. So when you were saying like you were working on this intro, I was like, oh man, what is it gonna like? And then I was like, wait, when it started, the glass was filling up, and you saw the different clips. I was like, man, he put work into that. That is,
I did. I put work into that, like a good while of work, just trying to get that whole intro set up. Though, because of this application, word to you guys that are showing up right now in the chat is I couldn't properly schedule this. It wouldn't let me just like put on like the regular YouTube notification that this thing was about to go live, things like that. I just pressed the button and we are here. So, hello and welcome to the first live stream of the TokuTonic Shift. I'm your host, Zio Agito, joined here with a nerd named Mark. So, we are here to do pretty much some live stream commentary, talk about stuff in the world of Toku, some random things, probably react to some of the comments that some of y'all have been going a little bit back and forth in some stuff in my comment sections that we're gonna have to address. Like, we're gonna have to address this thing. I was pretty much eating earlier, and I was seeing this back and forth in my comment section that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to talk about this.
Dude, sometimes I sit there and I look at your comment section and I was like, I'm not jealous of this. I go over, I'll look at my 3 comments where it's people trying to mansplain the episode I just reviewed to me, and I'm like, okay, I could deal with these. You have full on like college dissertations in your comments.
There are. So obviously, since it's called TokuTonic Shift, I gotta get my drink ready. So I am already set. And starting this thing off right, that's usually how it goes.
At least the soundboard's there. At least the soundboard is there for.
Yeah. At least I got the soundboard handy just in case. So yes. Yes. Wow. See, already getting turned. It's like the first one.
Everyone, I am sober. I don't drink, so I have a nice half gallon of water.
Mark will be my my DD to keep me in line in terms to make sure that we don't go too crazy and off the wall on here. Got the conversation driver.
There's
all right. So
there's new rules for YouTube, so I've been keeping up with what we can say.
That's true. Yeah, there are a lot more TOS changes and things like that. They really want us to hop on this whole shorts thing, so I've been trying to figure out what kind of things I'm going to be doing for shorts, which is why I did that paint job for that boost buckle that I got to say.
That was a
Mark 3
short. That was actually really good. I like that one. I have like 50 drafts for shorts I uploaded, and then I forgot to make them go live because you have to do them from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was asking around different like Twitter, other Discords, groups. I'm in like, hey, ask me Toku questions. And I recorded like 50 of them, and I posted like 3, and I forgot all of them. Like, they were there. They've been sitting there for like 3 or 4 months.
Damn. All right. So first of all, a little bit of introductions. I don't know if they're necessary, but sure, let's go ahead. Oh, the chat finally popped up on here. That's great. Thank you.
You just now saw the chat?
Well, no, it's the chat popped up actually on the live stream itself. Oh. So now that thing's finally popping up, so we're good there. So yeah, of course, Zio Agito here. I've been pretty much invested in Toku since '93, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. When it comes to the Japanese, variety of Toku, Toku Classic, I've been a part of that community pretty much since 2004. Got into it with Maji Ranger being my first Sentai that I watched week to week, retroactively saw Deca Ranger at the time, ended up getting into Kamen Rider soon after with Kamen Rider Fies, and the rest is history. I've been keeping up with this stuff since then, being parts of different forums and communities of that point. I kind of went on a mental hiatus from social media for about 8 years, with my return to anything social media related a couple months before I restarted the YouTube channel. And here we are over a year later. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And how about you, Mark?
Well, see, I was wondering if you were going to go into like the different personas. So I was like, this is going to be a lot of like origin stories going.
Oh my god, no. If people want me to get into some of these Persona talks, we can, but
yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. I mean, obviously, Power Rangers '93. I was a young lad at the age of 7 because I'm old, and I actually was never a part of any communities or fandom for Toku stuff because I learned after being a part of the Star Wars fandom actively to not join fandoms. That was that. So I've been doing the YouTube stuff now for 2 years, but while I do a lot of Toku stuff, I also have my podcast that is more comic book, pop culture stuff. So Toku stuff, I still get some heat from a video I did where I accidentally became a Toku tuber. That was not my plan. I mean, obviously, if you look behind me, I like Toku stuff. I like Kamen Rider. I'm not a Sentai guy, so my first Super Sentai was Zoo Ranger, and that was like 5 years ago. So yeah.
Was it only because you wanted to check out original Mighty Morphin and see how it would be?
No, I just was like, well, I was in that ignorance where being a Power Ranger fan, I thought Super Sentai might have started with Zoo Ranger, and I didn't realize that was like the 16th season. And I was always curious after hearing about all the adaptation stuff. I was always curious, well, what did they actually keep from it? What did they change? And I was like, oh, Zoo Ranger is so much better. And then I've seen Zenkaiser now. I'm almost done with Lupat, and I saw Car Ranger. So I'm getting through Super Sentai now.
You've got some muddy ones under your belt. So
yeah. That's what I heard.
You really just got to watch Down Bros. Yeah, you just got to watch Down Bros.
Doing a marathon. I'm calling it the Donathon. And I'm going to marathon it all right before the finale.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Yeah, you can play it that way. Sure, fine. But obviously,
I can't watch Sentai week to week. Like I watch your reviews every week, and I tell you all the time, it's like I feel like I'm up to date because I just watch your videos.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much do cover a lot of the main points when it comes to all that stuff. But yeah, Down Brothers, I cannot recommend it enough. I'll be sad to see it go because it's so comforting to just watch, have that experience. Like not even knowing what you're gonna get because the previews don't mean jack. The previews literally don't mean anything because you're gonna watch it, you're gonna speculate, and no. You know he's going to pull a 180 on you, and there's no point in speculating on what those previews bring you because you're going to be wrong. I've ate crows so many times to the point that I'm just like, look, it's a good thing crows are keto friendly because I am just, tearing them up. I'll take those L's. So that's fine. Yes, Dan Bandai is still back here.
I was going to say, I'm genuinely shocked you didn't say you were sad to see Don Brothers go because I know you're in the minority with your opinion on the King Ohger suits.
Yes. And I don't know if we want to just start and talk about like some King Ohger real quick.
We have some questions already in the chat about it.
Okay. All right. So, all right. What's the first thing you want to discuss? These suits and how I've almost made a complete 180 in terms of how I feel about these suits.
Oh, you've changed your mind already?
The more I see them, the more I dislike them.
Oh, I thought you were starting to like them because I knew you disliked them. So I thought
no. Like... That's the thing. It's like the initial silhouette and the initial reveal, I did like the suits. But the more I saw them, especially as we got the magazine scans coming in, I know you got that high quality magazine and all that stuff. So you actually have seen them in better quality than, of course, during that blowing up, changing some coloration and all that. But they really just look like Crayola crayons to me now. It's too much same color.
Yeah, there's no real break in it for each one. It's like just like at least with other seasons, there'll be like some like color in between. It's just one solid color, and then like hands and feet. Like I get that. Like I just like it because it looks more armored, kind of, and like I like the sword, so I'm like, oh, that sword's pretty cool. So like for me, that's already drawing me in to it because for me it seems more simplistic with suit designs. Let's face it, Zenkaiser and Don Brothers have very flashy, like outlandish suits, which are also great and appealed to me as well. But I was like, something about the simplicity of the King Ohger suits is actually appealing for me.
Just gonna randomly click on one graph saying I don't like them. Made a heel turn. Yes, I absolutely did do a heel turn when it came to the King Ohger suits. Like The more even I see of the helmet of what is it, Kawagata Oger is the red. It's too solid in color. I'm not that big of a fan when it comes to it. And another thing is, of course, we've gotten the videos on the toys. Like we've seen the changer now. In terms of it's a bop it.
Yeah.
It's a bop it. I can't even say that I'm excited over seeing it. And of course, let me see. Let me show this thing right here, obviously. Because of course, there's always merch with it, and I'm not a fan of sword toys in general because they're gonna be tiny. They're gonna be tiny. I have the twin command from Geats, and I hate the sword because of course it's teeny tiny.
I know I bought the just the buckle on its own on Mercari through Bai Japan because I was like, I don't want the sword. I don't do toku weapons unless it's memorial.
Yeah, which is another thing I feel that Bandai is going to drop the ball and not even talk about a Memorial Edition until it's going to be another Zenkaiger situation.
Oh, yeah.
They'll announce it after the series is over, and then we got to wait a year before it even comes out. It's like, why not just go ahead and do it now? Like, literally announce it. Because people are going to want the full-size sword.
Yeah,
hell, I'd be a little bit more tempted by this.
No, that's the thing too. It's like, but also like they're like, oh, if we announce a Memorial one, no, everyone's gonna wait for that. And it's like, yeah, kids in Japan will buy this, but like collectors and this and that, we're gonna wait for the Memorial one. Because I saw the difference between the Memorial Geertlinger and the regular one, and I was like, man, I wish I never got the regular one because I'm not gonna buy the Memorial now.
So real quick, Buffa Oni Taijin Zeal's probably going to review episode 1 and then be done with it. No, I usually am a little fair, or at least I try to be a little bit different when it comes to Sentai. I will review the first episode, then I'm going to sit on it for a few episodes like I did with Dawn Brothers. So Dawn Brothers, I reviewed episode 1, and then I waited 5 episodes to just decide whether or not I was going to stick with it or not, because usually by then you've already gotten the individual episodes dedicated to each of the colored team members, because that's usually how Sentai goes. You get like your introduction episode, and then the following episodes works towards like introducing your individual cast. So I normally wait until then to decide whether or not I stick with it. Now, of course, for the context of my channel, it might be one of those that if I end up disliking it, do I hate watch it? Am I going to see if it's going to change my mind? I could. I completely could. I just don't know yet because it's up in the air. My biggest concerns that I have with King Oger currently is the new production staff. So for those that are unaware, the previous production team of Sentai that was headed by Shurapi, he had a 5-year plan for Sentai. Pretty much starting with Zenkaiger and leading up into the 50th, which Dawn Brothers is the second of that 5-year plan. Apparently, something didn't go right on the back end, and that 5-year plan is now squashed. And King Oger is a completely different production staff, writing staff, everything that's done. So yeah, it's going to be completely different. And the fact is that the head writer for this is an understudy for Takahashi, who is currently working on Geats, as well as Outsiders, which I really feel that this man is probably stretching himself out too thin. But I feel if it's more of that, then it's going to be like nonstop seriousness over in, superhero time for the next several months.
I'm still waiting for subtitles for Outsiders.
Me too. Like, that's the only reason why I haven't done a review for Outsiders yet, is because I'm waiting on those subs.
I like this question because I actually went back and watched that episode because I feel like I was caught up. I liked the debut of the mecha for King Oger. I like the way it looks to the point where I actually went through my guy that I order from, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you the mecha, and I'll make sure it has the campaign item." I'm like, "Oh, yay, thank you." Now I hope I don't hate the show because I don't be stuck with a freaking expensive mecha.
And the thing is, it's like initially looking at the mech itself and looking at it, I honestly did think that this would be a complete clusterfuck when it came to like mecha design. I was having flashbacks to Go Onger when they got I was already getting like final mech Gatai vibes from this, because it's 10 mechs just all there. But then I'm just like, it's a little bit like he's just wearing the bugs in a lot of the instances. But looking at it in motion kind of did sell me on the design, because going from these toys, I was not sold. I was not really digging it. But seeing it in Don Brothers, complete 180. I had a 180 when it came to the mech comparatively to like the actual suits for the King Ogres themselves. Because while I am disliking those suits the more I see them, I am liking this mech the more that I see it. So there's that.
It's a really good mech. Like I enjoyed. I was like, this looks good, and I was like, I want, and like they already announced like the second, bug motif that you can get with the mecha, or I forgot what it was called, and I was like, oh, we're already getting an announcement of another one that could be attached with it. I was like, I wonder how many there's going to be. I hope not too many, because with all the alters from Don Brothers, because I do a weekly video about all the candy toys, and they've been releasing all the alters for the mini plas, and I was like, that's so many. Like, that is a lot.
Now, needless to say, I've not pre-ordered anything from King Ogre yet. I am honestly waiting to see. I don't even know why some of these sites literally are posting up just pre-orders with no images of even the toys. Like, who despise that?
It's like the Hasbro thing where they get the announced like release time frame and what it's possibly going to be, but no, like they're just, and I'm like, they're placeholders, and I don't pre-order on placeholders until there's official images and release dates. You never know.
So in terms of design-wise for each of the King Ogres, what would you say is your favorite one? Zoran asks.
I mean, I've always... there's two colors I'm always a sucker for in Sentai and in Kamen Rider, and it's red and purple. Like, those two colors are always... They're always on some... Like, one of the best suit designs, and not always the best character. But I do like when those colors are on suits.
Well, for me, I haven't changed my mind when it came to which ones I like the most, and it is actually the blue and purple King Ogres for them. They still have the sleekest design out of all of them, in my opinion, just because the way that they have their helmet designs in reference to like the other ones, it looks a lot more sleeker. I don't know what's going on with, the faceplate of the Black Bee with the
I don't...
It's like, look, I watched Kamen Rider Kabuto. That's like top tier bug design right there, especially like the Bee's design.
I mean,
and
Blade had some good bug design in there too, but I'm biased. Just don't look over there. I'm biased. So I mean,
the angle's still shit.
Yeah.
So
I don't even... I bought what I thought was going to be a DX belt, and it ended up being the role play toy set, and I'm just like, buyer's regret. Like, I can't send it back to Japan now. I'm stuck with it. Google Translate screwed me.
So speaking of merch, you buy anything recently? So now we're going to move on to the quick topic of how much have we bought in like the last couple weeks, if we've bought anything, any pre-orders, anything coming in, anything except... Now I've been tabbed for paying off several of my pre-orders. The Juga driver, like we already have a quick ask here, of course, from Chest of Greatness. Are you going to buy the Juga driver? I already have it pre-ordered. I pre-ordered that thing already. I'm just waiting on them to ship it, to ship that thing. I am waiting.
That was a day one pre-order. Like, I can't, like, and that's the thing, I haven't really bought much right now because it's like pre-order like season is popping up. It's like, hey, remember that stuff we pre-ordered? It's like, now it's time to pay up. Like, I should be getting my Birth and my Birth X unit CSM set, I think Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm like, that's not bad. And then obviously I have the Kamen Rider Black and Ryuki Blu-rays that are finally out for delivery. So I was like, that's good. I'm happy about that. But other than that, I haven't really... I mean, mainly just... I've been buying like anime and manga stuff lately because too many big Kamen Rider purchases and all the pre-orders. I'm like, yeah, I gotta slow it down and wait for those to come in and see what else is coming out.
Yeah, so I've got the Memorial Edition Gertlinger that is on the way. And even though as much of a mid-season, I would say that Zenkaiger was, still like that changer. It's all right. I like the gears and all that stuff, and the fact that it's going to be my first Memorial Edition anything that I have. So I'm taking the plunge for it, and we'll see if it's any good. I will definitely try and get a review done for that one. But then I've also got the Gamer Driver 20th finally on its way. I've had that thing pre-ordered for ages. It's a shame because I've got my pre-orders in for the Gemuso Gashat, which you can not really see. There we go. The Gemuso Gashat, as well as the Mighty Novel X and the Bang Bang Tank. Those came in, and I'm like, this is cool if I had the driver to actually put them on, and yeah, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So
I'm shocked you don't have that driver.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at first. Honestly, I'm not a fan of it.
Bright. It was too bright colored. It was the driver actually is one of the reasons why I didn't like the show at first.
Yeah.
And then it grew on me over time. But like I just have it with I have the Poppy Gashat and then the one of the Black Knight one or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's all I have. I haven't bought anything else that's X8 related because I was like, I'm good. I don't need anything else for that. When it's a season I don't like, I don't get any gimmicks for it.
The thing is, I liked X8 as a season. I didn't like the aesthetics of X8.
It was bright. It was like, you know, you go to the mall and they got that candy store where it's like just tons of candy stuff on the wall and you can go in the basket and like grab whatever you want and they weigh it. It just most of the like the main suit and the color, like it reminds me of that. And I'm just like bubblegum pink on a suit with like that weird watermelon bubble yum green. I was like, man, like
especially since they're going based off of the gaming culture at that time. And I was like, that doesn't really scream, especially some of the aesthetics that they were trying to go with was very like 90s gaming, and I'm like, we didn't have colorations like that in the 90s. What are you talking about?
Very muddled and just not bright at all.
I mean, that's back when we had the computers that were that ugly like manila color. So we had consoles that were gray or manila. Disgusting. So it should have been that. It should have been that disgusting manila color.
Yeah.
Like,
it should have been.
No, actually, when I get my gamer driver, I'm thinking of completely repainting it in the original Nintendo Famicom burgundy and gold.
I was gonna say that weird like purplish red on there.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking of for that one.
I don't know. I don't know how you I know how you customize things, but like from a choosing to do it, because like me, I'm like, I spent money on this. I'm not touching this. Like, I'm not painting this again. Are you kidding me? Like, I'll fix stuff up, but I was like, I can't bring myself to like customize. Because then I'm like, well, what if I don't like down the road? Like, say I have a driver, and it's like, oh, I don't really like this, and I was like, or like a CSM comes out for. I was like, oh man, I could just resell that and put it towards the price. But if I customize it, I'm stuck with it.
Yep. I did it because it's like, look, they had a really good deal on the Desire driver at the Bandai shop that you told me about. And I was like, let me pull the trigger because the second Desire driver for $50 when they got those stupid pre-orders for just the Desire driver for $40, but that doesn't come out until near the end of this series.
Yeah.
Nah, screw that. I'm going to go ahead and spend. Yeah, there's no point. There is no point.
I bought mine as well, only because I'm going to put the cracked Buff ID core in it with the Jamato buckle on one side and the zombie buckle on the other. And I'm like, that's going to be on display like that.
All right, let's see here. What do you think the chances are of a memorial version of the Dawn Blast? Pretty good. I would say it's like a 95% chance that they will likely end up announcing that, but it's probably not going to be until the series is over because that's the rate in which they do things. So
it'll be probably like maybe 75% of the way through King Ohger, they'll probably announce it. If you see when the Zenkaiger one, you know, the Geertlinger just came out, it's like obviously we're Dawn Brothers. There'll probably be like 30 plus episodes into King Ohger. And I'm like, oh, by the way, here's Memorial Dawn Blaster.
Let's see here. info on Juga versus Ortega special yet? Nope. Same thing for when it comes to the King Oger press conference hasn't been formally announced. You can expect it this month because they always do it in February, and it'll normally end up being around the same time that Superhero Time is about to be over in Japan. So based off, like, I live in the East Coast, so normally the press conference would normally be around like 9 p.m. on a Saturday for me. And it honestly could be any week now. Obviously it's not going to be this upcoming Saturday, so it'll likely end up being, if not the 11th, then probably the 18th, because I doubt they would do it on the 25th. That's too late in terms of that. They got to start getting the marketing push out there. They want to get these actors up in the forefront and just start getting that promotion game working, because of course, when you think about a company like Toei, the promotion is like the biggest thing. They gotta bank on a lot of these things.
And just wait, you'll know ahead of time, because people will start taking photos like that live in Japan of like the Super Sentai Cafe and all that other stuff when they actually start changing things over. So usually like less than a day before anything's actually announced, you can kind of see people showing storefronts that start changing over for the displays, because those displays go up right after usually during the press conference.
And the thing is,
Kamen Rider
and filming normally starts like when we get the press conference. They've normally already been spending at least 2 weeks in filming when it comes to the show, but they have done those filming usually either in closed sets or by green screen or in completely secluded areas. So there's no chances of leaks happening when it comes to like the suits or the actors or anything like that ahead of time, because they completely control that stuff. They'll do all their outside scenes closer to after this thing's done and over, because then people would know like who are the actors that are playing these. But once the show is on the air, then you can bet that you'll start seeing like photos of on set and possibly characters yet to be revealed. I remember when we got the reveal of Jiro in Don Brothers before Jiro was formally revealed a good month in advance, because someone snapped a photo of Jiro's actor interacting in a scene, and that's how that goes. So
watch, we're gonna see Kaito in a green suit somewhere in one of the leaked photos. We're like, we're getting green Kaito now, and he's just in all of them as a different color every time. I'd be okay with that, honestly.
Look, my hope was Black Taro, that Black Kaito would be gone. We'd get Black Taro as
so the passing of the torch each season. That would actually be cool. I wonder if that would be the 5-year plan, because that would have worked and that would have been pretty cool.
It would have, but since that's not going to be a thing now, my dreams are kind of squashed when it comes to that. So
it's better than the rumor. Everyone's like, oh, Super Sentai is canceled last season. It's dead. It's like, really? Come on now.
Yep.
That's my favorite rumor everyone says every year.
So let's see here what else we got before we move on to some catch-up things. Let's see. What do you think the 6 for King Oger will be like? What bug? Since Kabuto, I wouldn't say it's not an option anymore, but there's still the chances are definitely slim when it comes to it. So if I recall correctly, the rumors for King Oger is that Red is the self-proclaimed king of the country that he represents, while the other 4 are the actual kings of the nations that they represent. The 6th is supposed to be the real king of the nation that Red claims to be the king of.
Lord of the Rings situation. He's going to come out like Aragorn and be like, I'm the Return of the King.
So I mean, that's what the rumors were pretty
I was
much
reading rumors
when it came for it.
I don't know kind of like, if I had to think of a bug, like I just realized I don't really like know that many bugs, even though there's a lot of bugs. And I'm just like, I don't know, maybe a spider? I have no idea.
We got that $5 in, what is that, pounds? British pounds. Ooh, from Gamer Kirby. Keep up the great work, guys. Hope this series continues. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, as long as we're not canceled, it'll hopefully continue. we're only 30 minutes into it. Give us some time to
Yep, there's
mess it
always
up.
time for everything to like completely hit the
Yeah.
fan. Now the thing is, now full disclosure for a lot of folks, like this was not something that there's the sound for the donation coming in all late and stuff. See, it's just late. It's just late. So but yeah, no, so this stream was not something like when I put up the poll 2 weeks ago, this was already a sure thing that
I
I
was
was
gonna
gonna
say
do.
when I saw the poll, I didn't say anything because
Yeah.
I was like, is he doing something else? I'm like, no. I was like, it's the same
No.
thing. Yeah.
It was just like I was just trying to gauge proper opinions on if people thought I should do this or not, because I've been thinking of doing something like this since like June last year.
Yeah.
Since Revice ended and I had the live discussion with, Mark and Trash Toku, it was something that was always in the back of my mind of I wanted to do something with more people. And even though Mark was the first one that I reached out to when it comes to that, I do want to kind of have a larger panel by the end of this where we can have a little bit more talking heads and it's just not just,
and more different
just the two
opinions.
of us. Yeah.
Always good to have more opinions and
because the thing is, it's just like some people are built differently than others, and some people actually know how to have a proper debate when it comes to differentiating opinions without throwing someone under the bus. We're kind of those guys. We can have completely different opinions when it comes to things, and we're not going to become enemies by the end of things because we can meet in the middle when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So speaking of civil discourse and a lot of back and forth, Geats, the latest episode when it came to the reveal of the disaster being Lopo Sae, there's a few people that say it's a red herring. That's not exactly the case. That it might actually be that Sae found someone else's disaster card and was just looking at it. What do you think about that theory, Mark?
Okay. I actually had that like afterwards that like clicked to me. I was like, that actually could be the case, but I'm still like, okay, it could be a red herring. It could be the bait and switch, which would be nice because then I would have to like, eat some, humble pie and say I was wrong and saying, hey, them giving away who this traitor is so early on without any real buildup was like stupid. Because that was what my main issue with that. Like that whole episode is like Daichi was so hung up on, hey, we got who's the traitor? It's Keiwa. That's not. We find out it's not. He gets voted off. He's not the traitor. And it's like next episode, all the cuts and edits they did, they were coming on too strong with it. Oh, the Norman Osborn Green Goblin pumpkin bomb apple rolling by their feet and blowing up, and all of a sudden she's walking towards a fence.
Yep.
Then it's later on. Oh, Nan's on the phone with her mom being like, no, I don't care about getting married to your dude that you picked up. And then all of a sudden she's standing right behind her. Are you fine? And I'm like, it was too obvious. And I was like, well, either they wrote themselves into a hole and they're just like, okay, let's scramble and make some cuts. So now it's like, hey, look how shady she looks. Because I went back to the previous episode and watched it again to see if there's any like indication that Sae could be the traitor.
Yeah.
And there's only a few instances where she was looking on, but most times she was with Neon. So I was like,
yeah, that's the entire thing. I'm just like, it seems so very short and quickly done because I'm just like, oh man, this is an obvious flag that they're gonna pin this on her. And it just felt completely unsatisfying and like they played it safe. If that was what they were trying to go with. Now they could really pull the wool on, from under us and be like, yeah, nah, it wasn't really her. And they set her up for failure. Everyone votes her out. She gets eliminated. And guess what? They're going to be like, oh, no, the disaster is still amongst y'all.
But
and then it's going to be like
by showing the card and what the mission was, it also now means it can't be Geats or Tycoon.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, it has to be her and Neon. And I'm like, I would have liked it to be more of like a whodunit type of thing. And now I'm just like, well, it's got to be those two. So I thought it would have been great if like, it was Keiwa the whole time. And he was so good and so sly that he was like, oh, now they can't think it's me. I set up Daichi. But I was like, no, it was like, he's still good guy Keiwa.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is, the more I see people go in their back and forths when it comes to this, like, God, these comments today was hilarious between these guys. So let me see if I can pull up these specific arguments that they were having, because it was wild. I I I was just watching this while I was cooking, and I was like, oh man, this is some good like food drama here. Y'all are really going back and forth when it comes to whether or not it really is Lopo or it really is Neon. So it's some good. I'm seeing like the divide happen because of this, and it could still be possible. Like, I would say it's 50-50. If they played it safe and it is Lopo, I'll still be disappointed. If it's not her, then I will completely like just I'll have to make a new opening bit of me just gloating and just shitting on everybody because I was right.
My issue is, and I know you brought up the same point I did, is like, why introduce these new characters and then have them be the traitor? It's like that is the easiest like path when it comes to writing. It's like make an established character have that like that shady side now, but it's like, oh, it's easier. Oh, these new characters you haven't seen before, let's make one of them the traitor. And I'm like, man, you only gave us 2 new participants. I don't even want to talk about the most obnoxious game master we have right now, but it's like, come on now, like it's just, I don't want to say it's lazy, but it's just like it's one of those things where it's like if it was me, like I'd put a little more depth into making them try and figure out who it is, and there's a way to write it so it could have been Kawa or Ace or Neon.
Mm-hmm. So going into that, before the live stream, Graph actually asked, what are the current thoughts on Geats as a season so far, since we're almost halfway through the show's run? So how would you rank the show thus far in terms of how they're taking things?
I'll tell the last like 3 episodes. So I love the beginning. Like I've said constantly, I feel like the show has been on longer than 20 episodes. I feel like we're like towards the middle or end game of a series with just how the pacing was in the beginning. It didn't hold our hand too much with explaining everything. So it's kind of like, here's our characters, here's a bunch of them. And I love that because it's like, it didn't feel like there was a lot of filler in the beginning. So like by the time we're on episode like 10 or 12, I was like, man, I feel like we're on like episode like 28 or 30 right now.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't, and after how Revice was paced out in Saber and even 01, I'm like, this is out of the Reiwa seasons, this is obviously one of the best one of the 4.
It is, but of course you got slim pickings when you're kind of.
I know.
Reiwa so far has been kind of mid.
As a Saber sympathizer, I understand the quality.
And the thing is, I enjoyed 01 up until we got that extra content after the series ended,
which we did not
like
need.
That retroactively just completely ruined things for me. I was fine in my head because at the time I was still like away from the internet. I was just enjoying the show myself, and I was just like, man, that was a good ending. I hope that arc ends up becoming like the great leader of Reiwa going forward, and that'd be a great thing. Then I found out like a year later, oh, there's a movie.
Yeah,
it ended things
and specials. It's like, oh, it just ruined everything.
Ooh, no, absolutely, it is so bad. But yeah, Geats in general. The thing is, I'm being cautiously optimistic about it because there's a lot going on, and I feel if they end up going very convoluted with the plot, which is what I'm feeling that Takahashi's probably trying to do, it might burn the show at the end. If we might end the series with still a lot of unanswered questions and things like that, or unsatisfactory payoffs to certain plot points that they're introducing now. Because right now I'm like, okay, you're introducing like interdimensional beings, but then you're showing us that the Jamato exist in a dimension that looks like it's the ruins of, a previous civilization and things like that. So you're trying to go very deep and heavy on some of these lore aspects and things, and they could end up having like a shitty outcome. Like, are these really dimension hoppers, or are they just future people that came to the past? Is this entire world a reality show, like a fake world that they just set up the set pieces to for the sake of the DGP, and the real world is actually the world that these other beings come from. Like, there's so many questions that you can have, but it's so easy to fumble the ball when it comes to the series. And the thing with Revice is, up until this point, I was loving Revice, but they just dropped the ball literally at the halfway mark. So I feel they might do the same with Geats.
Obviously, because Revice didn't give the main character enough screen time, especially in the second half. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, we all know who the main character is. It's okay. But no, it Revice also, like, some, like, with how Geats is going, there's so many different things, and it's to the point now where I'm like, okay, every once in a while they'll throw a sentence in there that just keeps a plot point that hasn't been done to continue. Like Gene being like, "Oh, that's your mom's name." It's like, okay, well, like, then the next episode, it's like, no one's saying anything. No, we're not going to bring up like this major sentence that was said in the episode before. It's like they keep string like Archimetal. I'm like, I want to know more about that. And then it's like, oh, you want to learn more about this? Too bad. We have sponsors now for the Jamato. It's like, now here's something new to distract you. And it's like,
Geats ends like, are you asking like the Truman Show? Because if Geats ends like the Truman Show, it's 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
If it ends like the Truman Show, I'm not even gonna say that out loud, because then someone will hold me to it. I'll be like, you know what? I'll just take a year off from Toku. I'll take the year off.
I'll be like, these guys did it.
Yeah.
Also, Graph asking about Shizuka. Shizuka was like a non-factor in Kiva, if it's the Shizuka that I think you're talking about. Old girl that hung around at Wataru the entire time. Useless. She was just there. Tendo's sister in Kabuto got more of a character development. We don't even know who that chick is. Might not even be his sister. Probably his cousin. I'm going to go with his cousin.
Probably.
Let's see what we got here. Crazy theory. What if Daichi was originally written as a Deza star, but the staff forced him to change it because he was predictable? No, I think he was purposely written to be a punching bag. Like, he was one of those characters that was designed for you to hate him, and thus everybody instantly like just draws their conclusions going to him. And I'm just like, it is too predictable. I don't know why you guys even think it might even be him, because it's too on the nose.
Yeah, and Daichi, obviously, we have, from a writer strength standpoint, Buffa is, Geats is equal, whereas Daichi could have been the intellectual equal to Ace, whereas like he's intelligent, whereas Ace is like street smart and this and that and sly. So like I feel like that didn't work. But Daichi really was just put there for like everyone to start liking Keiwa more again, when you think about it. Because Keiwa's there now, we have an antagonist for Keiwa. It's like he betrayed Keiwa. Keiwa told him his secret about Jamato talking, and it's like, and I was like, I get you. Every once in a while, you have to have characters that are like just there to be there for that, to like push the narrative for other characters. But it's like, I actually like Daichi as a character.
No, and I'm glad that he's supposedly coming back next episode, because he's in the preview and it looks like he's working with the Jamato. I'm like, great. We get more of this man.
He's their tutor, honestly.
He'll probably show them how to actually do their plans and get them running right.
Listen, you're writing the threats good, but execution is poor.
So Daichi might literally become a proper villain to the series. So we'll see. And hey, they did it to that man. They shouldn't have cast him out the way that they did.
Dude, they've done so many people dirty. I'm still like, what the hell's going on with Punk Jack? Like, his grandfather is a part of like the company in this and that, and I'm like, how is he just gone? Like, there's so many things, and my fear is we're not going to get any like follow up to that. That's just a plot now. But we're only 20 episodes in, so
why are people spamming about me and Sononi? Okay, well, just for that. Because of course, there's too bad Sononi's not coming back.
There's no Sononi-esque character in King Ohger. I fear that you may be like suffer from dehydration.
Done. Just done.
You're like,
be all over.
I haven't had a drink or water in a month. It's like I need a new show. You're just rewatching Don Brothers now in like another language.
That's what I'll do. I'll just dub over Don Brothers myself. I'll green screen myself into every episode of Don Bros. That'll be like the next side project. Is like let me do that. Let's see. Black Moon. I think you mean will the Crane Juto come back? Absolutely. I think the Crane Juto is going to end up being the driving force going into the finale. Like completely needs to be the driving force going all up into it. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions that we have regarding the Juto still, and they gave us some simple answers. But I feel that her being the only Crane Juto and the story that revolves around herself, Tsubasa, Tsuyoshi, and now Awakened Natsumi, there's got to be something that ends up tying into all that they just have not resolved yet. So yeah. Maybe someone will get stabbed. We'll see, because that's what Zaime says. Will someone get stabbed? It's if you're asking about Don Bros, the answer is there's always a chance because it's Don Bros.
Is there
someone might get
4 episodes left now? I think 4.
Yep. It's supposed to hit the 50 mark. Crazy Orb, will Minoru return? He better return. That's like the surprise start. Like now that Tsuyoshi's become a Hitotsuki as many times as Minoru has, I need him to get that one up on him and then just change into another Hitotsuki. Like there's the possibilities. We need more Minoru action. He needs to be the crossover villain for the Zenkaiger versus Don Brothers movie that will come out around summer period. So be on the lookout for that one.
Do they? So I'm not fully aware with Sentai. Do they do a lot of like V Cinema type specials and stuff on the side, like they do with Kamen Rider? Because I know Sentai, they've been getting a lot of anniversary movies, but do they get specials the same rate like Kamen Rider does?
They have started to now. So essentially, before Don Brothers started, they started doing they had the little crossover with Deno, God, and then where they went out a pudding, that kind of thing. And then for the Hurricaneger and what we're gonna have with Abba Ranger, they keep having these with Don Brothers specials as well, which are actually pretty good fun in themselves in the lead up to their movies. And I think Kira Major had their own V Cinema with Yodana because she's a fan favorite with a lot of folks.
Yeah, I saw the Yodana special. I think I put that in the place where I put
if they give me a Sononi V Cinema Tokusatsu Toei Tokusatsu fan club, I'm just saying, like, you'll not only get my money today, you'll get my money yesterday and all into next year if you make that happen. So Toei,
he'll get a production credit.
Just let me know. Just let me rocking the shirt for a reason. This merch that you guys can never get. So yeah, let's move on to.
There's a good question, and I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. Do you think we'll get a Dark Kawa arc? Because you know how when there's like always that overly nice character, eventually they have their breaking point.
They do, and they kind of are setting up with Kakera to be like, you got to stop being Mr. Nice Guy and start thinking about yourself. And I feel that he might be the driving force to make Kawa go through like his asshole phase. And the thing is, it's like when watching this show, I see a lot of parallels to Kamen Rider Kabuto, and I know you haven't seen Kabuto, right? That's like one of those that you haven't.
No, the only one I haven't seen is I haven't finished Fies. Oh no, yeah, Kabuto is the one I haven't finished. Fies and Kabuto are the ones I haven't finished.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
And the thing is, it's just like Toei's very aware that there's a lot of parallels between Geats and Kabuto to the point that they're even cross-merching them together because besides the shirt that I'm still waiting on, Toku Lectables, I'm just saying, still waiting on that shirt, they announced yet another like piece of merch that comes with that buckle that is also tied into it. When does Super Chat come in?
Wait, did it? Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
Let me... let's see. You think we'll see Neon's bodyguards back in the DGP? Yes. If not within the series themselves, they'll get their own side specials. There it is. Okay. Yeah, you got it.
I found it. It showed a blue, and I was like, oh, it's different color. They're color coded. I was like, that's convenient.
We're still trying to figure out this this
it's
entire application. So there's a lot of growing pains
process.
when it comes to this.
I want, like, because especially when they, touch that E-cores and they got memories back from it, I'm like, I hope, I don't know if we'll get them in a, like, it might be a flashback, but I'm pretty sure we will. I think right now the main story is focused on the different sponsors, Azuma, and then the disaster stuff. But I think once we get that kind of, like, as you've put it, the 2-episode arcs, we'll get another Nan 2-episode arc, because I thought it'd be funny because her mother brought up again the arranged marriage and finding a fiance. It'd be kind of funny if her mother pulls strings to, like, put the said fiance that she found for Nan in the Grand Prix, so she has to interact with him. I was like, because it would be kind of easy, and it would actually be kind of good if we got some more Nan stuff. Because
yeah, I mean, once we get the proper, like, information regarding, Time Fire, I'm always gonna call that man Time Fire, and how he even came into like just getting those two on his staff, on his payroll type thing to guard Neon. Like, I feel that's when we'll get the proper understanding on this, because we still got to figure out how he even became a sponsor to begin with. If he was always a sponsor from the get-go or anything like that. Like, there's a whole nother side tangent that I need to see happen in regards to the entire Kurama Foundation and their involvement with the DGP. So there's all of that.
Yeah, there's a lot that could, like I said, it's one of those things where I have to remind myself we're only 20 episodes in, even though it feels like it's been longer, and there's still a lot of branching out they can do, and it's what path they choose for each, like, plot, and which ones are gonna. I don't think we're gonna get a season that 100% will cover every plot hole. There will be plot holes by the end of the show. It's just a given. Like, there's no, like, if they're able to finish this show and we have, like, no questions about stuff that was from the early episodes, I will be shocked.
Yeah. Because the thing is, rewriting does happen, and they backpedal on some things.
Yeah.
It's usual with these shows. They'll throw in an early plot device that you're going to be like, oh, wait, you guys never even talked about that stuff ever again. Be like, oh, yeah.
Hiromi come back to life and not be dead.
And then I'll have to kill Turbo Ryuki yet again, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the whole Dark Kawa thing that we were talking about. So when it comes to the parallels between, like, Kabuto and Geats, there's several, and even Toei's been playing with this on their end, where Ace does give off, like, new generation Tendo vibes. Kawa does give off new generation Kagami vibes. And Kagami went through an entire arc in which, when he became a writer finally, because he kept getting cock-blocked by the Zectors, once he got he became the next user of the B, because the B, everybody got to be the B. But once he got it, he was like, I'm the writer now. We don't need you anymore, Tendo. And he started getting, like, this really big head attitude towards Tendo. Like, we don't need you, my guy. I'm here because I actually represent Zek, that type of thing. I feel like something like that would actually end up happening to Kawa, where he just starts getting completely overconfident in himself, and it's gonna take, like, literally Ace showing him, there's a reason why I'm the way that I am.
It would work if he wins one. If he wins one and everyone's back to life like he wanted, what would his next desire be then? He got his wish finally. It's like, then he'd be like, well, everyone's back alive. I did good. It's like, you know what? Let me do something for me. Then he has, like, the most arrogant wish ever. He's like, unlimited ramen for life.
Get that Tanuki ramen. Get that thing right.
But yeah, no, I think we'll see. I don't think it's gonna be a long-term, like, permanent characteristic change where he just gets, like, that dark side to him. I think it'll be like you pointed out in your reviews, 2-episode arc where he's just
it's a monster of the tweak, as I like calling him. So
yeah, basically.
All right. Any other, like, Geats questions before we move on to something semi, like, just adjacent to this type of stuff, things that I don't even talk about on my channel at all, but that I wanted to at least
Pretty Cure
bring up. No, it's not Pretty Cure. Though I need to get back into the series. I haven't watched Pretty Cure since Heart Catch, and that's it. They need to make a live action Pretty Cure. I stay within the entire mindset that we need a live action Pretty Cure so we can actually have, you know, proper shoujo style toku, because let's be honest, like Super Sentai and Kamen Rider normally gears towards the young boy demographic because that's who buys their toys. That's generally how it is.
Yeah,
Pretty Cure would be the proper offset for all of that. And it's not like it can't be done. We had live action Sailor Moon, which is still one of my favorite adaptations into toku that exists.
It was actually really good for its cheesy moments.
So let's see here. All right. So actually, yeah, if you guys want to talk some Ultraman real fast. So real quick. So the thing is, I will admit I'm not an Ultraman expert in the slightest. I am a noob when it comes to Ultraman. My exposure to it when I was younger was the Tiga dub that was on like Foxbox way back in the day. The one that had like the rap like intro. It was bad. It was bad. And needless to say, it kind of turned me off from it. So it's like whatever. But trying to get back into it, I did watch all of Decker, and even though Decker was all right, it had its moments. The beginning, it didn't originally like catch me right away. It wasn't until we got a lot of the lore dumps. But Shin Ultraman was a good film in itself. Like, I actually enjoyed the movie for its 3 arcs that was in there. I was like, man, you guys actually packed a lot into this single film.
They did a really good job with it too.
And I feel it's like a pretty good introductory piece for just some folks that want to get into Ultraman. But the thing is, it's just like, if you start watching the shows, though, there's a stark contrast, especially in execution, some of the lore and things that goes in there on how things should get taken. And since I promised some folks via Twitch that I'd be watching Geed, other people said before watching Geed, you should watch the Belial films, the Ultraman Zero films, which I did. So I actually did watch the first Ultra Galaxy Legends film that introduced Zero and Belial. And when I watched that movie, I was like, wow, this is good. This is like a really good, like, I wish I had watched this first because it actually gave me some great fight choreography. We got some deep lore into the Ultra Society in general, including backstory and all that good stuff in there. But a good setup and introduction of a character like when Zero got introduced towards the end and all that stuff, it's just like, okay, this felt earned for all of this stuff. So it was like good stuff. Then afterwards, I watched the Return of Belial movie, which took a slightly different tone, but still a very enjoyable ride. And I was just like, man, you guys are doing things with like multiversal stuff that like MCU would just cream themselves if they did something like this. The way that they portrayed the multiverse in general, I was just like, that's A1. It kind of reminds me of like the original Men in Black movie when they revealed that the galaxy was like in a marble, and then you found out that all the other galaxies were in little marbles. I kept getting flashbacks to that, and I was like, that's a really neat setup, especially seeing like the other protectors that they had in that other universe and how it sets up, you know, Zero's arc in that sense. And then today I actually watched the first 3 episodes of Geed, and I was instantly hooked with episode 1.
So that's in my top 5. That's S tier to me.
So I'm just like, I'm actually like now getting the hype that a lot of people get into with these franchises. And maybe it's just, you know, in the way that I started might have been the wrong foot. But for some folks, it's like, for me, I'm a deepest lore type of guy. I like my backstory. I like my lore. I like some world building, and I like proper execution to that world building and not using it as just, you know, background fodder. They've got a built society, established lore and character dynamics and things like that. And I'm just like, okay, I can see the hype.
That's how I recommend Ultraman to people. I always ask them like what shows they're into in general, non-Ultraman, so I can figure out, because it's like you like lore, so obviously the Ultra fights and stuff like that. That's because that's all lore based. And the great thing is too, if you don't watch those, you could still watch the shows and still enjoy them. It's just extra story, extra lore. Me, I started, obviously Showa era stuff, and I think because there's less seasons, obviously, but from a season standpoint, I feel like I've watched more and completed more Ultraman in a shorter time frame than I have any Kamen Rider stuff, because obviously once Mill Creek started pumping out the Blu-rays, I was getting them as they were releasing, putting them on my DVD player and just watching them. And they're not as long as seasons. That's why I really like Ultraman too. It's easy to binge it. It's easy to digest it, because usually they don't go past like 24, 25 episodes. But Geed is definitely a good start. I tell everyone Geed or like Orb is really good, but if you want more lighthearted humor interjected in, I'd always tell them Ultraman RB is really good. That's that era of Ultraman with like Zero, Mebius, which I finally am gonna watch because I bought it finally. That era of Ultraman is so good to get people into it. I'm glad they kind of took that break with making Ultraman stuff, because those ones are really easy to get into, and it's stuff like I would not recommend someone, oh, hey, I want to get into Ultraman. Like, what should I watch? I'm not going to say Trigger. That's for sure. Like, as an Ultraman fan, even I was watching that, like, man, this is hurting me to sit through.
Man.
Even Decker kind of had like a good start. Then I kind of started to get bored with it a bit, but I think it was just while Decker was airing, I was binge watching other stuff. Like I rewatched all of Ultra 7 again and Neo Ultra Q, which if you like lore, the Ultra Q and Neo Ultra Q is I could not recommend those enough to you, because each episode it's like Twilight Zone and it's a different kaijin every time, and it gives you kind of like the mythos and lore for that creature a bit.
Yeah, I'm aware on those aspects because of course I did pick up the Blu-rays for the first Ultraman and 7, but of course before that one they had the Ultra Q. I just never picked it up, but I guess I should pick that up as well, because those are actually some really quality Blu-ray releases in general. So that's some good stuff there. And so the thing is, it's like Decker definitely was one of those shows that I feel I enjoyed more when I binged the episodes than watching it, the week to week installments, because it's one of those, it's kind of like it does have its monster of the week feels, where it's just like, yeah, can we just progress a little bit here with what's going on? I'm kind of like not too interested in some of these other aspects, or some of these like monster of the week tropes and stuff like that. And Kanata as a character, I was like, I wasn't really feeling him too much, but already with, Geed's introduction and things, I'm more invested in Riku, especially having the whole Belial backstory and things like that. So I'm curious how he even came about, that type of thing. So right now I'm like forming questions. And Mebius is another one that I'm curious about as well, because prior to watching these, I'd watched the film, the Superior 8 Ultra Brothers, which also has Mebius in there. And I'm just like, is this guy like the decade of Ultraman? Just showing up for a lot of these things. So
I tell into those like Ultra Galaxy fights and that are a great way to like introduce you to the characters and be like, hey, that one's cool. What season's he's like? What's his season? Like it's like a great melting pot to be like, okay, this, like I tell everyone, it's like how Zenkaiser was for me. I don't know Super Sentai. I'm watching each week they use the different Sentai gears. I'm like, what's that move? What team is that from? That looks really cool. And then I'm like going through, I'm like, okay, this is on my list. This moved up my list of what to watch now, because that power up was really cool. But yeah, no, you made a good choice with Geed being your first one. I think, especially because you're a lore guy. I can't. That's like one of the ones I always recommend to everybody.
Real quick, out of nowhere, who's excited for the Mario movie? It's not Toku related, but hey, actually, I very much am. It's probably going to be my movie of the year. Just
my wife just saw the new trailer pop up on TV yesterday, and I was like, I didn't even see the new trailer, and I was like, this looks really good. This is gonna be this is just gonna be a fun time. As long as when you go and see it, don't take it serious. You know how people are gonna take it serious to critique it. I'm like, dude, just go. It's Mario. It's supposed to be fun. Okay, John Leguizamo's not in it, so we should be fine.
It's gonna be a fun time,
even though he's a great actor. But
yeah, like I have the involvement that Nintendo has put so much of their hands in the pot. I'm just like, okay, they're gonna. This is gonna be a proper like film, like carryover.
And and from an animation standpoint, it's setting the bar pretty freaking high for other studios. Like that's
Oh
gonna
my
be
god. So you look.
yes.
I actually have not seen the Cocaine Bear trailer. I've not.
I cannot wait for this. I saw the trailer drop when it was announced, and I'm like, you know what? Day one, I'm seeing this. I don't care. Someone pointed out like Nicolas Cage made it. I'm like, Nicolas Cage is playing the bear. Like,
Oh,
like that's obviously what's happening in this because it is just. And then I didn't even know it was based on a true story either. So I was like, oh, this makes it even more funny. Like that's even funnier. Like I can't wait now. It's based on a true story. I was like, oh, it's a train wreck.
and checking it. Zorn, why do you want to talk about my persona so much? There's too many. There's too many to list. There's, I wasn't even thinking of introducing Lightspeed Hibiki like this early, but I'm just like, I think of these opening bits almost like as soon as I finish watching the episode or like right while I'm processing them, and I'm just like, this whole Ring of Forgiveness thing, I can do something with that. It'll break my outline on how I had things planned out in my head, but I'll do it. And that's part of the reason why that review ended up taking longer to come out, was because just editing that whole opening bit by itself took a whole day. Like people don't realize how much like editing these bits takes hours to do. Like doing the review is the easy part. Doing the bits or even the memes that I do on those takes so long. Even for like a 10-second like just on-screen image, I'll be working on for like a cool hour or hour and a half on Photoshop just to make that thing a thing.
Oh, this was actually a good question because I've updated this and people keep asking. So, how many Sotos do I have back there? Built 168. And yeah, I still have like 4 sets that I haven't. If I build everything I have, because I still have a backlog, just like my Gunpla kits, I'd be at least 200 Sotos. I will have them all. And then I won't buy anything.
We've all got to find what to collect, and it just becomes an addiction from then on.
The price point, like, and also the King Ohger Yudos were announced, and those look good. I'm waiting for the mini plot because I'm not dropping SH figure art money. And those regular, like, I forgot what they called the Zenkaiser ones, and the regular action figures they released for Sentai, I feel like those aren't worth the $20-something for just a single figure that's not really that higher quality. So it's like, oh, I can spend $45 and get a box that makes the whole team. Like
I've only done SH figure arts, but because the price of those have gone up dramatically over the course of the last like 8 years, I have not committed at all. Because I remember being able to buy SH figure arts for less than $50.
Oh yeah,
and now they're like almost $100. Some even over $100, and I'm like, why?
How much did I spend? I spent it was over 100 for the Dark Kiva, but I needed that. Obviously, it's Kiva, and then I have the prototype for Birth. I think it was a prototype form, and I was like, those are the last 2 I bought. I'm like, you know what? I got all the Blade ones. I can't do SH figure arts because I just saw all the announcements for all the Geats ones, and it's like, oh, here's Geats, Magnum, Boost Magnum. Now it's Fever Boost, Fever Magnum. Here's Tycoon Ninja, Fever Ninja. I'm like, dude, that's way too many. Like, I'm not buying all those. And those are all going to be like 80 minimum each.
Yeah,
no, it's not worth it. Like, you guys can't even see the quality of them on the camera anyway, so what's the point? It's like, it's nice to look at, but it's like, yeah, the Sotos are fine. Like, I'd rather get the model kits or this and that. Like, I can't. Like, everyone always talks about this vintage Showa Ultraman thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's not even a display. That's literally flat cardboard to look 3D. And I was like, that was like $20. I'd rather have that than SH figure arts.
Real quick, Zio, who's on top of my Ring of Forgiveness, and why is it Mari? Because Mari is my first crush in terms of like Toku. Like when I got into the Japanese Toku and Vice being my first season, I was just like, man, Mari. And her actress, she could still get it. Like I'm saying, like still good, aged gracefully. Next up, Zaya Mays says, "Does Zio and Mark watch Gundam or just build Gunpla?" So for me, I've actually been a huge Gundam fan since its introduction in the US with Gundam Wing back in the day on Toonami. Got my first model kit like soon after because they had brought them over. Like you could go to a Toys R Us and just get the model kit. So I got like a 1/100 Wing Zero that came with that one. And yeah, it's like the rest is history. Like afterwards, it's like I've watched all of the UC series of Gundam, of course, all of the ones from the well. It's a shorter list if I just say what I haven't watched.
Yeah,
I haven't watched The Witch from Mercury.
Nope.
And all the build fighters like offshoots because that's not Gundam for me. It's not.
Did you watch Iron Blooded Orphans?
Yes, I did.
That was good. Yeah, no, similar story, except I actually around like after Gundam Unicorn ended, I actually like stopped watching until Iron Blooded Orphans. But like I've always been the type where it's like the shows are cool and all, but like I just like building model kits, and I'm sorry, but I'm not like a car model guy or this and that. It's like, dude, I want to build fucking robots. Like I want robots on display. That's what I want. But I did after watching Iron Blooded Orphans, I do kind of want to get into The Witch from Mercury. Yeah, Gundam Unicorn, Chest of Greatness, like is my favorite unit. Preferably like the Banshee Norn, like destroy mode. I got all the kids over there. I got to build on my to build shelf. But yeah, I now I just build more than I watch. Honestly, I'm watching Toku stuff, but there's so many hours in the day. Like,
yep. So back onto some Toku stuff. Let's shift gears a little bit to something that I normally don't even touch on my channel. That's Power Rangers.
That's the first photo that pops up, and I was just like, I was kind of expecting something else, and I was like, the one photo that doesn't hurt my eyes, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
No, because this is the only good suit out of anything that they showcased off for Cosmic Fury. And the thing is like, look, straight up, I'm a lapsed Power Rangers fan. I have not really touched this franchise since like halfway through SPD. I dropped it then because by then I became a little bit of a Toku snob because, you know, some people go through those phases when they first discover like original like Super Sentai that they're like completely invested in Super Sentai and they don't want to touch Power Rangers. That's how I was because when I got into Sentai in 2004, like I dropped Power Rangers like a bad habit. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm now invested in OG show and all that. So I've sparingly seen little bits and pieces of Power Rangers here and there, sometimes on the Twitch because they make me watch some of these crossovers that are like, I didn't know about these Kalash explosions until like the other day. And I was like, who approved this shit? But yeah, that side tangent aside, this is not the first time that they try doing original suits when it comes to Power Rangers, but it's the first time that essentially the entire main cast is in a live action light taking on new suits with repainted helmets.
But I do like this was the only one that's like redeemable. I like the whole metal arm. I'm hoping something happens where he gets ripped off because that'd be kind of cool, but they probably won't do that. The guitar being an axe is pretty cool. Let's see. I saw someone, Graf said, who actually seen Dino Fury. I have seen both seasons because I was curious because just like I'm a horrible Power Ranger fan. I stopped actually after Lost Galaxy. And I tried to come back in for like Mega Force and Super Mega Force. Couldn't do it. Obviously, I've seen Dino Thunder, but I didn't see while I was airing. Like I saw the promo, I was like, "Oh, Tommy's back." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm in college. I have work to do. I can't watch it, so I watched it after it aired. And every once in a while, I try and jump back in, like the Beast Morpher one, like that caught my interest for a couple episodes, and I'm like, well, I don't have cable and they're not on streaming services when they're airing. And I'm like, it's a pain to try and like go the other methods, I'm like, I'm not gonna risk all these to find a Power Ranger episode. So I'm a horrible Power Ranger fan, honestly. But these suits.
Now the thing is, it's like from what they've shown of the morphers, those at least look better.
Look
but
really cool.
the thing is just like, of course, like I'm not a fan of the fake muscles. Like, look, these guys, these actors are actually built. Like the majority of the Power Rangers actors, they are shredded. So I don't see the point of like them wearing these padded suits. It's weird on why they would go that route.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to make them all seem like they're the same size, like in their upper body, so that way the action figures can all just be one mold. Like, I don't know, because I'm just like, man, because they all post on Instagram when they're doing martial arts training, stunt training, this and I'm like, dude, they're ripped. I was like, they're actually learning like martial arts and fighting, like all choreographed fights, and I'm like, they're putting in the work. Like, let them wear just the spandex.
Yeah, so it would have been more than enough. And of course, like there's so much of like just the solid coloration that throws things off on there. But the thing is, like with this shoulder piece, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to pretty much have that padded suit clip up to that, because it just adds that. Yeah, no, that was one of the first things that I noticed, was the fact that they just went up all the way. So to use a terminology that I use often, they're kind of built like Doritos. Like it's completely like a fucking triangle, and it's
this is weird. The best comment ever from Zaya Mays. I feel like they're made like this on purpose because Hasbro wants to avoid QC problems. No, they're still going to be messed up. They're still going to come with 2 left hands. They're going to be missing like pieces of their helmet, or their arm's going to fall off when you take it out of the package. Why do you think like all the new Hasbro stuff, it's just blind bags now? You don't know what you're going to get in those boxes, because I sold my whole entire Lightning collection about 18 months ago because I was like, I'm tired of the QC issues. I'm taking the loss. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not going to make up for quality issues. And let's face it, these aren't even going to get Lightning collection figures. These are going to get the really small, low-end figures that are like $10 at Target.
We'll see how Hasbro...
I do want a memorial version of that guitar, though. I will 3D print that.
The thing is, they are really going in a lot when it comes to the original Power Rangers branding, because you see it on their wrists, you see it on their buckles and things like that, that they've got the lightning bolt of like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers just all over there, because finally they can end up making suits that utilize them. But the thing is, it's just like it looks a little off, and the thing is just like, I'm usually the guy that when I post up like, talking forms, if there's a variation on the suit that I would like seeing, I would just do a quick edit in Photoshop and just do that. So I actually did that with specifically blue, because it was the one that I got my hands on. And I was just like, let's just incorporate the design of the lightning bolt in there and just see how that ends up going. So it's like, here we have the original one. Oh, we got Nails Gundam over here. Love Dark Knight's Metal comics on your wall. Yes, that's true. Correct. The Dark Knight's Metal series was probably one of my favorite runs of Rebirth. So
that is actually,
I've not read Heavy Metal at all, but yeah,
I fell out of DC in that time frame. I think we I know it was on a stream. We were just in BC chat that like after New 52's Brightest Day, Blackest Night, I fell out into the Rebirth stuff, and I was like, you know what, like I can't. I was like, I just fell out. I was trade waiting, and I bought all the trades, and I never read them. But yeah.
Now, for me, like I've always been a bigger DC than Marvel guy when it came to comics, and almost the entire Rebirth line I bought initially until like Doomsday Clock kind of soured everything for me. Like the way that they dropped the ball with that ending, I was like, man, all this lead up from number 1 up until this, y'all, because on like this side of my wall, like even though you see those over here, I have like the 4-part Button Saga of Batman and Flash crossovers, the lenticular covers at that, which were really nice. So yeah.
I wish I had something cool on that side, but if you guys think I'm bad with my Toku collecting, she can't hear me. My wife collects Barbie and Disney Barbies, and it's just all over. It's like Lion King. Everything that like touches is yours, And then on the other side, what's that shadow? Is that's dark area? You don't want to go over there. That's that side of the whole entire apartment. And
yeah, so back to these suits. So essentially, I was just like, look, it's pretty bare. Like you've got these
like a different
like all that, and you can't tell me that this is not gonna hold like their version of the
yeah,
Q
you know they're
Thomas.
gonna do that. I just don't. Why is that? Is that shadow above the belt, or is that just two-tone color on his side?
It's two-tone colors. So they kind of they're kind of doing what they were doing with the Ryusoger suits, just without like anything in the middle, and I'm just like, that's what throws it off like dramatically. Not only that, but of course having the boots being their regular blue color, why are their like arm gauntlets silver, but then their boots? So I was like, okay, whatever. Like let's just lose the muscles. Let's get some aesthetics on here. So I was like, look, you guys are leaning in so much with these fucking Thunderbolts. Let's go ahead and throw in the MMPR Thunderbolt onto the actual suit design and actually add some cosmic flair to it, because why the fuck not? Like at least something on the chest would have made the suit better.
Did an edit where they just literally put the Dino Fury suit upper torso on that with just the shoulder spaldron thing, and that was it. And they're like,
I've seen that one as well.
But I was like, the cosmic, coloration into the lightning bolt, that would look even better than just a solid black and like white on the like. I don't like at the same time. It's like we could Photoshop this and that. At the same time, it's like I can't design a suit from the ground up. Like I'm not even gonna pretend like I could make a suit. I'm not of that mental capacity. That's why I don't work on these shows. But I was just like, this just seemed like, okay, what's the easiest thing we could do? Because it's only like a 10 episode season. So
yeah, which is very short, but I figure it's like, since original production, they gotta have some cost saving measures when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So that's probably the reason why it's only going to be 10 episodes, because budgetary constraints with doing almost everything original versus relying on Sentai footage and things like that. And that's just going to raise the price on these shows. So
and also Mighty Zachary said, or no, not Mighty, where is it? Area, if they would adapt Lupat, I think it would be an SPD connection. I was like, you know what? Honestly, I think if Power Rangers stopped adapting maybe a couple of years ago or this and that, they'd be in better water to come up with their own original stuff. It's just with how easily accessible we can Google search and see Super Sentai stuff and this and that, they should have got in on the original Power Ranger idea years ago. Now it's hurting them choosing now to do it.
Yeah, and the entire thing is like, I remember being in the message boards back when like Disney was like fumbling their hands on what to do with Power Rangers after RPM, because they honestly did not want to adapt Shinkanger, because it would be a lose-lose situation for them in terms of just like, are we really going to make a very Japanesey show and cast a non-Asian lead? But then if we did, it would be also weird. So they just found themselves between a rock and a hard place when it came to adapting Shinkanger. So they opted not to. And there was a lot of word and talks that what they would do is just reboot MMPR, but do it animated style. So it would just be an animation style. And they had two different projects that they had along with it. One of which was the one that you can find now, which is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, that has like that comic text that pops up every now and then during the fights and some redubbed lines, which is not good in the slightest. And the other was going to be
2011 or 2010. They did that.
I believe so. Somewhere around that.
It's bad. It's all. I think they just put all of it on YouTube again. I think it's on YouTube now.
Yeah, and then because of that, of course, like Power Rangers was worthless to the point that Saban actually managed to get it back for a steal of a deal, and then went ahead and just adapted Shinkanger as, oh my god, that first episode of Samurai like lives rent free in my mind with how like odd it was.
I haven't seen it, but I picked up the DVD for that, and I think did it have a second one that was like Super Samurai?
Yes,
I think I got both of the complete seasons for like $5 at this place called Book Off out here. So I was like, you know what, $5 for a complete season. They're getting taken off of streaming services. Maybe one day I might actually watch these shows, which probably isn't going to happen. But I was like, I have them.
like when you start a series saying that like ancient warriors in Japan were fighting off like some demons. Fast forward to modern day, and the head of the clan is Jaden Shiba. And I'm just like, oh my god, is this a Tom Cruise Last Samurai situation? It's
Yeah.
wow. It's okay. Y'all really did y'all did it. Y'all found a way to do it. It did not pay off. It did
Yeah.
not pay off. But yeah, it essentially was a carbon copy of Shinkanger, which was, you know, actually a good season, but just with the wrong actors in place is what made it just seem like such a shadow of a thing. But really, that's when they should have done original suits. When Saban got it back, he should have just done, or even Disney, if they were like stuck between what they should do, literally, it could have been just make something original. Like by then, like the community was indeed growing, and of course, because of, you know, the message boards at the time from, you know, Ranger Board and other locations, the message board that I was a part of is now completely defunct, but the conversations that we would have on there regarding all this would just lead to just make something original. Like, it's not like they didn't do it before. We got Mystic Knights of Tir and Og. Like, they know how to do original stuff.
Damn it, I don't have it over here. I was at this, like, there's this vintage toy store my wife loves, and I go in there and she finds all stuff. I never find anything really in there. They have like power stuff. I found toys from Mystic Four, like the McDonald's ones, and I bought them, and they're only like $2.50 each, still sealed in the bag. And I was like, oh, I gotta take photos to show these up, and then I just threw them at one of my totes with all my other toys because no one ever brings that show up.
Yeah, Mystic Knights of Tir and Og, completely underrated show. Yes, it was very cheesy and actually some hilarious green screen effects. I still remember there was this one scene that me and my older brother used to roast so much when we were kids because they had those vehicles that they would ride on, and behind them would just be a film reel, and you would just see them like driving over, like with that film reel behind them, and you just see like the people awkwardly stumble behind them, but the angle was so off that it looked like it was like an overhead camera. It's just like, yeah, that was a really bad done like scene, but it was hilarious.
No, but that show, like, it showed, you know, you can do some original stuff. You can create, but I think that when Saban got the rights and everything back, it's like, oh, well, this worked in the 90s. Like, yeah, but it's not going to keep working forever.
Yeah.
Like in 93, I didn't know what Zoo Ranger was. I didn't even know Super Sentai was a thing.
And the thing is, in the age of the internet, and the thing is, in the age of the internet, it's hard to hide that stuff anymore. Like, it becomes very blatantly obvious. Like, I still remember when they were promoting SPD, the original promo for SPD, for like a quick second, you saw the Tokusou Sentai Deca Ranger logo before they cut away to it. And I was like, wow, they really are in a rut over here. And the thing is, it's just like they spend all these monies on like making original suits for like the villains and things like that, because they rarely reuse the villains from the Sentai now. They have been using original villains from the beginning. So why couldn't they just go that extra mile from the get-go?
Like, they could easily just kept the mecha footage and just went everything else original.
So, all right. So let's see. Someone's excited about Yodana Special 3 coming. I didn't even know there was a second special already.
Not either.
The Simps will be happy.
Let's see. Bird of the End brought up, have we ever watched or heard of Kamen Rider Dragon Knight? Yes, and I do like the Japanese adaptation called Ryuki. It is really good.
The thing is, for me, I never watched it. I still remember the initial like talks of it coming to the US, and when we got our first trailer of it, I could not cringe any harder. That like is
early
peak 2000s. That's like peak 2000s hard edge, like ow, the edge. Everyone was rocking like the Zac Efron High School Musical like haircut type thing. It was damn.
as someone who's seen it, it's actually not that bad. The only thing is I don't understand why instead of Henshin or Transform, they said Kamen Rider. That was my biggest blunder with that, but it wasn't bad. It was definitely early to mid 2000s, like CW. Like every trope a CW show had was just in this show. It even to then, like if you watch CW stuff now, it's like, man, that is definitely like that's a thing that still happens in a lot of their shows. And it for the time it worked, it didn't age well. But the acting was really good. You could tell anyone who was casted on that show, like Stephen Ford and all them, they cared about the show. But it was like one of those things where production and their writing and dialogue was just. Oh, I'm hoping we get a Blu-ray release for it.
So okay, like just Radius, I'm aware of this, but the value incentive of doing it, because I tried looking through every single scummy website that I could to see if I could find a rip of Dragon Knight in Japanese. Like, but I couldn't. Like, you can't find it anywhere. I did, however, find people selling the DVDs of Japanese Dragon Knight, like proper Dragon Knight with the Japanese dub. However, I'm not paying like $100 for just
that's expensive
for like 10 episodes and then like have to keep investing just for the sake of now, you know, if we end up ever doing something stupid like a Patreon or something like that, I'd be like, here's stretch goals. We're going to go ahead, invest the money. DVDs. Yes, we're going to get these DVDs. We're going to get them fan subbed. And then we're just going to watch that thing live, but not on YouTube for obvious reasons. But that would be a thing. And we'll just see how that goes.
That'd probably be like one of the worst, because you think it's an American adaptation of a Japanese show that is then brought to Japan and dubbed in Japanese, and then we're going to get a fan subbed in English. And I'm just like, how deep does this rabbit hole go?
It will never end.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, if they end up changing some lines of dialogue, you can just get the original actors that play them to redub them in English with the new Japanese dialogue lines.
So I'm not going to show that on the screen because language in YouTube, but someone said Dino Fury was better than Rio Soldier. As Rio Soldier is one of the few I've also seen. Dino Fury, I will say, because it got its 2 seasons and they did do a good job with some continuity, and it did kind of have some nostalgia bait in there that like made me feel like this was like a revitalized generation for MMPR. I will say that, yes, because Rio Soldier had so much better mechas and just I like the night story of that a lot more than what they did with Dino Fury. But I will say, from a quality standpoint, Dino Fury is better.
Thing is, honestly, I only watched the first couple episodes of Rio Soldier, and the first episode was good, but then it got like a very tonal shift, like immediately after. And it
gets a few more of those.
It was one of those that I was just like, yeah, I think I'm dropping this. It's so much easier to just like nope out of a Super Sentai than it is noping out of a Kamen Rider, just because they tend to put in a little bit more plot things regarding that. Though another thing is, speaking of adaptations, I remember back when CW got the rights to Garo, and luckily they never did anything with it.
Yeah.
But for those of you unaware, around the same time as, you know, Dragon Knight dropping on the CW, they also got their hands on Garo. Luckily, we didn't get that.
No, we did not get US Garo. Do not worry, Chest of Greatness. Like, we did not get it, luckily, because I would be like, don't ruin another thing I love, please. We already had the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which, I mean, wasn't a bad adaptation. It had Tim Curry in it, but Gridman is far superior. We did get Big Bad Beetleborgs, which was what? B-Fighter?
Yep, B-Fighter and then B-Fighter Kabuto.
Yeah, so it's like we got, and I was going to do a video retrospective on Big Bad Beetleborg, and I watched 2 episodes of it, and I was like, I'm not doing this.
No, absolutely not. It's one of those, even I was a kid watching it and going like, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Like
it was so bad. And I mean, the only one that really I felt wasn't bad outside of, because outside of the Power Ranger bubble was VR Troopers, was not that bad. at least compared to the others.
Well, and the thing is, on the subject of, I actually enjoyed VR Troopers when it was airing. The plot of Dragon Knight, when it was first showcased off, I was like, this is VR Troopers. This is legit the plot line of VR Troopers. Like, I was getting like all those flashbacks, and I was like, yeah, nah, I'm not interested, because there's that. There was Saban's Masked Rider, but you can thank it for revitalizing the Kamen Rider franchise, because Shotaro Ishinomori was so upset by the US adaptation of Kamen Rider Black RX that he started pretty much drafting what would end up becoming Kuga. So if there's a need to fire up a creative that has been in a little bit of a rut, you just make a terrible adaptation of things, because it's also the reason why we got Dragon Ball back, was because Akira Toriyama didn't want Dragon Ball Evolution to be the last thing to people like tie into Dragon Ball. So there's that. So it's a blessing and a curse. Yes, we got Saban's Masked Rider, but you can thank it for Kamen Rider being alive right now. So that's the trade-off that we have for that. So be aware.
Still mad someone bought that Furbus before me.
Oh yeah.
I was at work. I can't believe it. That would literally be just on like right here, like on display.
Let me see. There was another comment here, but this one was going back to Geats related things. Here we go. Mr. Cool Guy, awesome. Do you think the first episodes are better than Geats' first 20 for Revice? Was Revice's first 20 episodes better than Geats' first 20 episodes?
That's tough.
I might argue that yes, it was better, because there were a lot of setups that they were having there. The first introduction of Evil and then the transition from Evil to Live was a great arc in itself. By then, we had already started getting the plant seeds of what would later become The Weekend, was another like aspect that was being tossed in there. And the villains were enjoyable. Ortega was starting to like pull the wool from underneath Aguilera and things like that. So I honestly would say that I enjoyed the first 20 episodes of Revice more than Geats so far.
I was gonna say, because honestly, when they were at the spa family trip, Evil shows up, starts slapping everyone around. That was probably one of the best. Demon's initial, the first tension for Demons was so good.
Your reaction to that was like one of your best viewed videos.
It was, and then a few of my other ones that are now gone due to Toei attacks. But yeah, no, those were like peak episodes, especially early on in the show, and before a lot of the other stuff changed. There was a good like consistency. Like, it was focusing on the family. You didn't know about Weekend yet, but like the family was always around, and it made you question why is it. And it was a plot point that actually got an answer, which was great. So it wasn't a plot hole. We knew, they're magically on vacation at the same time. What's in the basement? This and that. And it's like, okay, we're getting like a lot of stuff was answered. Yes, things with like were rewritten, like the Hiromi situation, which actually was handled well, because really that could have been a horrible plot point.
Yep.
But
and I mean, one of the thing is like Revice is something that I completely avoid trying to talk about now, because anytime I'm in a VC chat and we are talking Revice, we always talk about what could have been, how we would have rewritten like the series to actually end up being better and not drop a lot of loose ends. So we're not going to open up that can of worms. We're not. I just want y'all to know that, Revice dropped the ball, but it started off really good. If you go back and watch my terrible like original reviews that I did for it back then, before I started like understanding video editing, like I was enjoying the ride. I was completely enjoying, Revice for what it was, and then shit. Real quick, in terms of me not reviewing the Battle Familia and Birth of Chimera special, the two will end up going hand in hand. I will say that it has to be done, because there's something that I want to do in that review, skit-wise, that needs to get done to move my Persona story going. Like, it needs to be a thing. However, the biggest issue is, like Mark, I am a regular working guy when it comes to like having a day job and things like that. So time is definitely something I don't have a lot of when it comes to free time. So literally the only reason why I'm able to get out my reviews when I get them out is because Sunday's typically my off day, even though I still get work calls on them. And then Monday, I still work, but I'm normally at home. So I'm able to start on my Down Brothers review, but rarely am able to get it out during that same day unless it's a very light work day. Otherwise, the rest of the week, I'm pretty much swamped. And
for me,
yeah,
I have mine filmed. I haven't edited it. I filmed it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Same with the whole Sabella and her brother special. I have a review for that filmed as well. I have both filmed. It's just really tough when they're V Cinemas or Toei Tokusatsu fan club stuff because they hit those clips hard when you put them up on YouTube. So I have to edit them still, and doing the freaking Darren Doll and Sabella one was just so painful to like.
See, since I have no attachments to Saber whatsoever, I don't care. So
I literally was just like, there was a lot of weird jokes I made because like Trio of Deep Sin was such a great movie, V Cinema from Saber, and I was like, that's good, that's closure. Don't do anything else with Saber again. Then this came out, and I was like, man, this is the duo of deep sibling sin. Like this is just so. It wasn't even as bad. Out of context stuff made it seem off, but it wasn't like that. Like production wise, it was pretty good. But I was just like, man, I don't even want to review this. Do I even want to do a Saber video again? Because like, man, whenever I talk anything positive about Saber, it's like everyone just comes out to be like, "You're not a real fan. Saber's trash. Why do you?" It's like, I'm not even gonna talk about Saber.
I mean, there are definitely those comments that get very opinionated. Like anytime I start being like pessimistic about Geats, I will start seeing like the comments start coming in and like all like the dislikes happen. They'll look, I normally only average about 2 to 3 dislikes in my videos, but I think my most disliked video is still like the superhero Senki one because everybody was like gushing over that. And I'm just like, y'all never seen a crossover movie before? I'm tired of crossover films myself. Because there would be a time that we would be excited because they weren't a thing. Before, like, the Kiva Deno situation, crossovers weren't really a thing. And then Decade made it an annualized thing right after, and I'm just like, the novelty wore off for me. So I don't get hyped over these crossover films at all, especially as the Kamen Rider timeline and continuity shenanigans, like, are a big glaring oversight.
I don't watch a lot of the crossovers, honestly. I actually just don't. The last, like, I'll watch the Geats, movie one and this and that, but like from an older standpoint, like the last one I actually watched was the Gaiman Drive one, and I was like, you know what? I don't need to see these anymore. I was like, this is weird. I don't need crossovers. I'm just gonna stick to my series and then any direct movies involving that series, and that's it. No more crossovers.
I really think what they need to do really is make a movie exclusive writer, because like the Beyond Generation movies, if that was just the Kamen Rider Sentry movie, would have been way better. The whole crossover element of Revice and Saber hold that film back from actually being a better film. And it's a lot of things with these other films that introduce like a really cool concept, like the Yongo movie, where they introduced like, Kamen Rider Yongo. Yeah. And I'm just like, that would have been a good standalone, just him movie. You didn't have to make it a crossover film. Like it would have been way better. But no, they're so attached to these just because, of course, they want to get these toys back into circulation and sell them.
Anniversaries. Like, I'm a big fan of Ghost. Did not need Ghost and Saber crossovers. They were fun, but was unnecessary. And so I'm just not a big fan of crossovers.
I made the mistake of watching those in preparation for Outsiders. Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing else needs to be addressed on those. I am excited for Outsiders, however.
I know.
If we can just get those subs, yeah. Like, what's going on? Like,
I'm in a couple Discords, and it should be before the weekend is over. And I'm like, I want it now. It's Friday. Like
if it manages to drop now, like say Saturday-ish, then I can probably make a review for it, because literally tomorrow I was just planning on just playing Fire Emblem.
Same.
But
if it drops tomorrow, that's all I'm doing is play Fire Emblem.
If it dropped, then hey, it's just like, oh shit, I gotta go make content now. Like hell, or else I'm not gonna have time with Geats and Dombros. Like those are always staying like the top of the priority chain.
That's why I'm so happy I just do comment. But like, obviously, I do manga and like toy videos also, and some anime stuff. So it's like a balance to the break of all the Toku stuff I do. But like, I could not. That's why I always tell you, VC chat, I'm like, man, you're editing all this stuff, because it's like you're literally reviewing 2 shows that air the same day. Luckily, subs, there's a gap in the subs, because like if both got subbed within an hour of each other, you would you wouldn't sleep.
Completely destroyed. No, and it's an entire day process. That's the entire thing. Doing my reviews takes an entire day to do. The fact that I actually get them out in the time that I do, I don't even know how I do it.
I don't even do that much editing. You get yours out like a good 10 to 12 hours before me. And I'm off. I'm home the whole time. And I'm just like, play Fire Emblem. I don't feel like reviewing it.
And then, of course, like you, I don't watch other people's reviews of it until like I'm done. Like after I get out my review and then I see other people's reviews, like, okay, great. I'll go check out the Oxy 360's like review. Once you drop yours, I'll check yours out. I'll check out like Sergeant Hooked on Heroes once he gets his out, you know, things like that.
All
like
the usual suspects of the round. That's like, the only thing I will check is what thumbnail you use, because there's that whole time frame where the thumbnails were kind of lined. Like, other than that, it's like, okay, what thumbnails he's using? Good. It's not the screen grab I got. And then while my video is rendering, usually while it's rendering, I'm like, all right, let me load up and watch Zio's review now. But I work on a thumbnail.
There was a question we got earlier, which was the hypothetical if we were in the DGP, what buckles and ID cores would we use? Let's see, real fast, just here from Dynamite TK. You guys were in the DGP. What would be your ID cores? I guess what animal would it be? And your main go-to raise buckles. Just a fun question. So, first of all, I'm a big fan of the mythical Phoenix. So I would have to be a Phoenix-themed writer. So that would be my thing.
There was some OC talk in your Discord about Super Sentai, and I always go for the main cryptids, this and that, Wendigos, being Native American, part Native American, like that's always been something like my great grandmother would talk about. So Wendigo, I would have a Wendigo ID core, because they don't have cool like messed up antlers on like the side of it, which would be cool. And I don't even know what raise buckle, like, can I pick the blade raise buckle? Like, it's like, I don't know, like most of the buckles, like, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of most of them. I like the zombie one, I like the beat one, and that's about it. Like, I don't like the construct one that much. Like most of the raise buckles,
I don't like power build. Like it looks like a Fisher Price. It looks like a Fisher Price toy to me. I'm sorry. It has its stands. Y'all that like the powered build, I'm sorry. It sucks. It's shit. It looks disgusting. It's not even a good form.
It doesn't make sense to me why in the last episode he would get the Magnum buckle when he could just put the Magnum one into the powered buckle and just be powered with the gun, and like, so it's like they basically already made it seem like it's not that good. It was just to sell the merch for that week and it's done.
And also, I'm surprised he didn't even do the revolve on. Like, why not?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. So, like, a lot of the raised buckles, I really don't care for. I get like the beat one, I like, and mainly the zombie one.
The thing is, it's just like I'm getting the beat buckle that comes with the soundtrack. That's the one that I got pre-ordered because that sleek white and black finish.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it too when you were talking about it. I didn't know what it was, and you were talking about it. I'm like, wait, what? And then I saw it. I was like, oh, pre-order, need it because that looks good. I don't have the regular one at all. So,
but in terms of buckle for which one I would use as well, I was just like, shit. Besides Boost, none of the other forms really catch my eye because I feel like as much as I like the command buckles. In terms of a mainstay form, kind of clunky. There's too much going on there. It's too busy. It's not something that I would want to be like the basic like look for my rider, which of course would be red. So the boost buckle would be the only thing that symmetrically would go fine with it, especially since I don't think we've seen the fire buckle yet. It's a sound that's in the driver, but I don't think we've formally seen the fire buckle. Which is another joke. If Time Fire, like if Kohei ends up actually getting into the DGP, I need that man to have a time buckle and a fire buckle. So it just says time, fire. Be great. If we get that payoff, nutted. Instantly nutted. Just all the nut. Good. Yep. Just like, all right,
I look forward to that video review because it's probably going to be the most like hyped video. You're like,
probably.
Happened. It's going to be 20 minutes. You'll be like, it happened. Let's go.
I had several of those hype videos with Revice sometimes because especially 25 and 42. God damn, those were some peak episodes.
There, every season has like the top tier. Like this is Kamen Rider. This is a Kamen Rider episode. This is just. Wait, Trust Last is going to be released on March. Man, why they got to release it?
So Trust Last. This is the first time I've ever seen a theme song get delayed, dude. Because it was supposed to originally release February 8th. So it was actually supposed to release next week. Then they pushed it back. I don't know why. I'm really wondering if they worked backwards and they actually came up with just the TV sized version of the song first. And then we're like, all right, now we got to write a full version. How the fuck do we do this?
Because I feel like we got the Live Devil music video really early on because that music video was really good. And I was like, why don't we have that freaking... Where's Trust Last at? Like,
no, the Live Devil music video dropped around January, February of last year. So around very same.
Yeah.
Very samey on there, but
it was a good video. Hopefully this
I am wondering if that's the direction that they're taking. And it's just odd because thinking back to like the intro of Dawn Brothers, as great of an intro as it is, when you hear the full version of it, there's like this weird cut from its TV sized version to the full version. I'm just like, did y'all like throw that in afterwards? Like, this was not originally like this, right? Was it that you guys just made the TV size first and then you decided, oh, we got to make a full version of this? So I'm just like, if that's the way that they're working now, just to get the shows pumped out sooner in terms of like getting their intros made and things like that, it kind of sort of makes sense, but whatever.
Yeah. I was never like a snob for the music until around the time, like, honestly, when Excite came out, like I was like, this is an intro, this slaps. And then I was going back through and I was listening to like all the different OPs and I was like, oh, Justifies is like, I always thought like Elements was like peak. And even when I'm biased, I'm like, man, Justifies and Excite are better than like.
Are we about to transition into Kamen Rider intros talk? No. Which one's the best one?
No, because there's so many.
There are a lot.
We can't play the music.
We can't do that. That's the issue with it. That's the issue with streaming on here versus Twitch. Is like Twitch, I can get away with so much when it comes to like music and stuff like that, but I can't do that here on YouTube. We can only discuss on how good it could be.
I'm just gonna hum the music. I'm like, you hum it, and they're like, "Oh, Toei's just like, what are you doing over there?" I mean, they got me for a photo before. I'm not gonna risk it.
Excite's really good. Like, Just Live More, Gaim's theme. Like, I was destroying that in my car from like how great that intro was. Live Devil was good. Fuck Saber's opening.
Well, as a brass instrument user myself in the past for music and stuff, I do enjoy a good trumpet or saxophone every once in a while. But it just didn't fit the show though.
Like Saber was built like a Super Sentai series. Like
it
that's
was.
why
it really was, honestly. Like
Over Quartzer is the only thing good that came out of the ZO show. That's it. Just that intro. Just because, of course, Issa was back, like singing, like doing the duet for the theme, and of course, Issa did, Justifies, and his band The Pump did the theme for Kamen Rider the first, and then he went through his Justin Timberlake phase and did Chosen Soldier for Kamen Rider the next, which still has a hilarious music video. If y'all look up the Chosen Soldier music video, I think it's still up on YouTube with the TV Nihon subs on there and stuff like that. It's so bad because he can't even lip sync with himself. Like when he's doing the vocal tracks for when he's doing Let's Fight If You Want to Be a Soldier, his mouth's just moving. It's not even going with the actual lyrics. It's so bad, it's good. Some of these music videos for these, great. All right, so let's see what's going on. Issa is so good. He is. If you watch the Overquartzer film, yeah, they went hyper meta. They even called out essentially the entire Rider franchise for Heisei just getting so full of itself and getting convoluted with their plot points to the point that there's no point in these worlds even existing. So
no. Don't talk about Zio. I just
Zio ruined so much.
I know.
It did what we thought Decade would do. But then Decade didn't do it.
If we ever get a Blu-ray release for it, it may be one of the ones I don't care to watch. I'll buy it and leave it shrink wrap just to have a complete Blu-ray release of all the shows, but I will never watch it again. There's no point.
No, absolutely not. I don't like seeing several of the shows that I literally grew up with get butchered endings. It's like you had solid endings. Y'all fucked them up.
Yeah, they've retconned Blade's ending. Then they tried to lure me in because Blade was Kenzuki was in Decade also, but they were like, hey, did you ever want to see Chalice and Blade fight again? I'm like, well, obviously yes, I would love to see them fight again. Who wouldn't? And it's like, let's mess up the timeline. I'm like, God, you son of a damn it, you ruined it for me. You just basically made the park bench null and void, and that park bench is important to me. I'm gonna get that park bench tattooed on me.
And they keep trying to retcon the continuation of Fies, and I'm like, please stop, because the storyline of Fies revolves two specific characters, and sadly, one of those actors is no longer with us. So they keep trying to make the story now be Takumi and Kusaka. Doesn't work. Like, your dynamic now is completely different from how it was during the run of that show. So I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. So we'll see how that keeps going. Let's see. We keep getting we got an influx of some messages popping up now. Let's see.
Yeah, mine got delayed for a bit, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's some.
The best tribute was Agito tribute. Believe Yourself kicking in was perfect. Let's see what else we got here. Last episode, Natsuki turns into a Hitotsuki because Sinoni what are you even? What is this fan BS you're out here spitting? What am I even reading?
They just put in terms of there to get you, because
they did. They just had to catch my eye.
Keyword.
Got to do it. Just got to throw some.
Your personal Zio Agito algorithm picks up on the word Sinoni.
I don't even do hashtag Sinoni on any of. No. I think one video did it. Maybe one. I put it on there, but that's it. Yeah. Non-factor. I don't exist in that frame. So, let's see here. Anything else before we go ahead and call it a night? Because we are closing in at the 2-hour mark. Definitely went on much longer than I anticipated, but we covered a ton of topics. So let's see if there's any last things anyone wants to throw in before we go ahead and end up calling it a night. Now, of course, we are planning on continuing this weekly. We might see about possibly vetting more people to be panelists on here if they are interested. My email is always open for any other content creators that want to possibly be a part of this. And of course, I'll probably end up making a post on the community tab for any questions or any topics you would like to see us cover, because that's the thing. It's like this is a free range type thing. We might end up doing some variety things with these streams, such as tier lists and things like that we can end up all chiming in on, because I am working on a continuation of the Slaps in Toku tier list that we now have over twice as many as we did before. We are almost at 3 times the amount of slaps on
I can
there.
see the contributions. There's a lot of slaps, but you did have one question that I saw on the actual community post when you were talking about going live in 2 hours. Someone asked about a Kamen Rider Ultraman crossover, and I would like to say
another one.
We got one in '96. It was 12 minutes long. It was amazingly bad, but it was also meant to be kind of humorous, just to set the premise. It's '90s, so obviously very '90s Ultramaning. It was basically to showcase the different things, because Kamen Rider, they showcased Kamen Rider 1 fighting some kaijin, while Ultraman was grown up fighting a kaiju. And then we actually got to see one of the best scenes ever, where Ultraman gave Kamen Rider 1 the power to grow big like him, and they fought a kaiju together, and we got the Rider kick mixed with Ultraman's beam attack at the same time, and it was great. You can find it on YouTube. It's only 12 minutes. But than that, Subaru and Toei don't really play together a lot with their stuff,
especially not nowadays.
That was like kind of like for the kids, because they introduced like, what's a kaijin, what's a kaiju, what is the henshin sequence for Ultraman? Oh, well, this is how Kamen Rider does it. And it was kind of just the different tropes each franchise had. So it was almost like whimsical yet instructional and informative of the two big, because at the time those are really the biggest ones in that time frame, especially Ultraman in the 90s and Kamen Rider 1 being there, and this is right before Kamen Rider really started really getting back into gear. So it made sense for them to do it. But I don't think now, with everything Super Eye is doing, I don't think we'd ever get any crossover between the two. We're more likely, obviously, people in-house doing crossovers.
Let's see. We got some other... Look, if I end up doing a Henshin belt tier list, I'm going to make sure it's just belts, because I'm not diving into the wacky world of the bracers, the guns. Like Kabuto had so many other kinds of changers, and then Hibiki, they didn't even use like belts. So I'd rather just avoid that and just stick to the belts. Even then, it'd still be a very long list. And look, when it comes to these tier lists, like I do a lot of work into the tier list, because most of the times when I see the ones that exist in the tier maker website, I don't like they don't have transparent backgrounds, and I go out of my way to completely redo every single image with transparent backgrounds so they actually look good on the overall thing, and also putting the names on there so people can see what the name of the belt is.
I'm a witness to this. I've seen you do it in VC chat, share your screen, where you literally were taking, when you're doing sub stuff, you're like, yeah, transparent. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Like, it should be like, why don't people make them transparent?
Yeah,
makes it looks more visually appealing. I wouldn't do a pose list. I mean, belts, maybe. I'd probably do gimmicks more than anything, because I feel like that'd be easy. Like, okay, cards are this. Here's the Gaia memories. Here's the icons. Like, I feel like the poses and henshins, like, that's way too many.
Yeah, and the thing is, for poses, we'd have to watch the whole sequence of the pose happen, because it's not just one thing. And the issue with that, obviously, is we're live streaming on YouTube, and them copyright strikes can hit at any moment, especially during a live stream.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not risk that one for that aspect. So belts would probably be easier, but gimmicks would definitely be way more easier, especially since gimmicks weren't properly introduced until technically decade.
Yeah, and that'd be so much easier to go over.
Yep. So let's see. Do you guys have an OC Kamen Rider? For some people that know me for a while, yes, I've had an OC Kamen Rider for well over 15 years now, called Kamen Rider Revenant. I have my own lore and shit set up for that I'm not even going to bother diving into, because it would be like an almanac big in terms of the world building and shit that I set up for doing all that stuff.
And I never got, I like fan fictions. I read a lot of fan fictions. And I do not mind OCs in the set. I just don't have one. It's not. My writing history has been more like journalism stuff. So like I never like took the time to like think about it, I guess you could say. Like it's never been at the forefront. Like, oh, I wonder if I was a Kamen Rider, what would I do for like I've always been the type like, what would I do to change this show? Or if I had to make like a V cinema or this and that, what would I do for a side arc in a show that already exists? I'm not I talk about I'm not creative enough to make my own.
Let me see here. I don't know if someone deleted their message or what, but I'm going to try and find the image to something that they were referenced for. Actually, no, I still see it on there. Let me see if I can.
Crazy Orb said a mecha tier list. Dude, like you would have to explain what half the mechas are to me. Like if you're just doing Super Sentai mechas, I'd be like, is that the Jungle Fury? Like I would be like, I don't even know what that is. I mean, unless you want me to just rank them based on what they look like. Oh yeah, no, I could do that.
Let's see.
Like this one looks cool, S tier. Then you're like, oh yeah, that's like the worst mecha ever. Why would you rank it S tier? It's like, oh.
Where is it? Let's see if I can find it. Because if I can.
Someone said Kamen Rider Revenant versus John Toei and Dan Bandai.
That means I would actually have to make an OC Rider suit. No, that would be abysmal just trying to get done.
You just repaint another suit, like kit bash something.
It would
Toei style.
Just make something happen.
Yeah.
God, did I accidentally delete literally sometimes I do like some images for bits and then I end up not no, I did save the image.
Oh yeah, crazy. Okay. Yeah. So design wise I could rank them, but I would get so much hate for not even like Zio said, transparent background with the name on them to know if there's no names on them, I wouldn't know what they're called, and I would just get destroyed in the comments for not knowing what I was talking about.
Not only would I fund this Christmas V Cinema,
it's back,
but I would try and just make sure that I can give some key details to it. I just want to work with Inoue on this thing. Let's make this Christmas V Cinema happen. It needs to be a thing.
I feel like with the proper editing, we could do this in dubbing.
Just a crazy.
Just take some clips from the Santa Claus 1 and 2, maybe some Jingle All the Way clips, get some Zenkaiser and Don Brother clips, just mash them together. You can make a Christmas movie.
Good, we could.
But keep Sinbad and up from all the Jingle All the Way. Like keep him in like those scenes just as him, because obviously
needs to be that movie. This year's Christmas special should be that. Like, I don't care what King Oger's doing. Just like stop King Oger for the week of Christmas. Just do this V Cinema that airs actually during superhero time. That's all we need. That's all we need.
It takes both spots because it's like a very long V Cinema.
It's an actual hour-long special, so that's it. There'll be like scenes in the background in which like a TV will be playing what the actual episode that would have aired that week would have been. But you don't actually get to watch those episodes. Those episodes won't even exist.
No, they're filler. They're filler anyways. It doesn't matter.
That's how they would do things.
Grim, people are on board with it. Bird of the End, Grim. Let's see.
Yep, we can definitely not make it happen, but we'll try. We'll try and get struck down. Anyway, any last things, Mark, before we go ahead and end tonight's stream?
Not really. I am thankful for everyone who turned out. I saw how many people like I said, we have been talking about this. We're just like, would it work? And I think we actually found the pacing right for it. And so I think this was a good test run.
Yep. Definitely good. And honestly, it helps having the audience interaction. Yeah. Because of course, y'all in chat do help get things going in different directions that we didn't even possibly foresee happening, because there was not a general outline to how this was going to go. I just know that myself and Mark definitely are two guys that can definitely carry conversations pretty well. And
we've been in BC chats just carrying like 3+ hours. That's what I was like. You were like, oh, it's almost 2 hours. I'm like, really? I was like, yeah, that's pretty on brand for us.
Yep, that's usually how it goes. So that's how these things go. If y'all have not subbed to Mark's channel, go to A Nerd Named Mark. He did put out a little ranty video regarding the Kugamon that we did not even touch on
I know
in this video. And I didn't want to touch on it because y'all should just watch that video.
Yeah,
And
I was
just
good. I got to do a follow up to that, but I was hoping to have a video clip to share, but I'm still finishing it, and I may not need to use your voice acting talents for it. I put out a tweet. I started learning stop animation, like
ooh.
for the last 8 months. I've been researching it, and I just so happen to have some Yu-Gi-Oh figures that are fully posable, the same height as the Sotos. And I've been currently photoshopping Yu-Gi-Oh cards. If Kamen Rider was a Yu-Gi-Oh card game, so Yugi, Seto, and them are using the Kamen Rider. So we have like Orange Eyes, Buffa Zombie,
Oh my god.
in Love Chan in defense mode and stuff. Like I was coming up with all this weird stuff, but I was like, yeah, this is my long-term project. Like I needed something like, because I can't edit like you do with green screen, but I was like, I could do stop. Like I always want to try to do something new, to break out of the mold. Like I stopped doing the reaction videos because I was getting tired of it, and it was just something that I didn't enjoy because it was extra work. I didn't really get to watch the episode and enjoy it. I like doing reviews, and then like I say, I'm so original with ideas. I'm like, oh, well, Zio's doing bits, and I'm like, I can't do green screen stuff. Maybe I'll use the toys as like dramatic reenactments. But then I'm like, what if I just did an original story instead?
There you go. You can just build your own lore in terms of that aspect.
Yeah. And then I was just like, that's cool, because like I'm always trying to do something new. That's why I was like, when we were talking about the stream, like this is something new that I could do to just get a break away from just watching a show, recording it, then sitting down, editing it, rewatching what you record, and this that. It's like it's not mundane, it's just so repetitive. It's nice to do something different every once in a while.
Yep. And great thing about doing live streams like this as well is just the fact that I don't have to edit this. Once I hit the end stream button, I'm done.
Right.
That's why I was so down for doing something like this, because it's not technically extra work. The majority of the extra work was photoshopping that picture back there that you see of Geats and Don Momo holding drinks.
I'm sorry, that intro video like still was so good.
Which the intro is also the outro. So when we end the stream, you'll get to see it again.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's going to be it for us. Thank you all for stopping by. Obviously, I will catch you all maybe on Sunday, maybe Monday when it comes to my Geats reviews. Otherwise, I do stream on Twitch at Zio Agito, which on Sunday we do watch these shows live. Of course, I typically have already seen the Geats episode for obvious reasons, but the Dom Bros ends up being my first watch. So if you're one of those people that actually cares about like first time reactions, that's where the money shot is when it comes to all that. So outside of that, that's it from us, and we will catch you all next week. Bye.